All right. We're unmuted now. Chris, are you with us?
Yep, it looks like we're good now.
Yeah.
Thumbs up. Chris.
There he is. All right. Ask the secretary to take the roll, please.
Awesome. Good morning. Patrick.
Here.
Alana.
Here.
Michael, the microphone, just for people on Zoom and for me, the microphone is really soft. If there's a way to amp up that volume, that would be fantastic. Earl.
Here.
Hey.
Thank you. Gan.
Here.
Tom Gans.
Here.
Thank you. Leslie.
Here.
Joel Cohn.
Here.
Beverly.
Here.
Thank you. Alex Ray.
Here.
Zach.
Here.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Hang on just one second. I'm logging into the Zoom as well. It just helps me to see the folks who are on there. If there's an echo or that becomes distracting, just let me know and I'll end it. Okay. So the first part of our meeting is our second annual meeting to vote on our proposed 2024 operating budget. We've held 3 town halls, which frankly, I wish more people would have been able to attend, but that's okay. But I thought we would open this meeting up with one last opportunity if folks have questions that they want to ask. If you haven't put your ballot in the box yet, feel free. Guess we'll go around, see if anybody in the room has anything. No questions? Okay. Anybody on Zoom in the virtual world? You can use the raise hand feature if you have anything you want to ask. Going once, going twice. Okay. So under our bylaws, Article 5, Section 6, we need to appoint, is it 3, Marvin, inspectors? Okay, 3 inspectors. So do we have volunteers from our audience who would like to serve as our inspectors? Chris, thank you. Alan, thank you. We need one more. Or we good? Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. And your name, ma'am?
You guys.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. It's time to, unless anybody has a hidden immunity, I know it's time to count the votes. Okay. No Survivor fans in there? And thank you guys for agreeing to do that. Before we launch into our first voting item, I'm just giving the inspectors a couple of minutes to figure out the ballots and no.
Okay.
Marvin may know, but all right, let's move on. First voting item is approval of our October 15th regular meeting minutes and our October 24th special meeting minutes. Board members, that's tab 1 of your board books. Anybody have any questions on the minutes?
No, also approved. I have a motion to amend them.
Okay. What's the amendment?
So it's my understanding that the bylaws dictate that every voting provision that we have in each meeting has to have a recording of each member's vote. October's minutes do not have a reflection of each member's vote.
You're gonna have to be more specific, Dan. What are you talking about?
So if you go through the minutes, none of the items that we voted on, it just says how, or not how, but Joel motion to approve, and all approved without a disclosure or dissemination of each individual board vote.
Yeah, and the votes that were roll call votes have the roll calls recorded at them. Those were the special meetings. The other ones were passed by voice vote. In parliamentary procedure, you can ask for a roll call vote, but we typically pass by voice vote.
Done that every time in the past. October 15th does not have a breakdown of each member's vote.
It looks like we didn't have any roll call votes then.
The other item on there,
Well, hold on, can we close that? So is that an issue we need to modify?
yes, that's my ask, is that we just record each member's vote.
Yeah, I'm not sure how we do that retroactively for this because there weren't any roll call votes. These were all voice votes. Of course, unless you have a record of that, I'm not sure how we would actually amend that.
We didn't do roll call votes because we just typically do voice votes on we did roll call votes for the two special meeting votes that we took. And those are recorded in the 1024 minutes. I can't create a roll call for a roll call that wasn't taken.
I think in the future, if you want something like that, you
Yeah.
have to request it before the roll.
That's right.
Before the call, is what, I think that's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. We're not going to roll call every single vote. That's just not efficient.
Have you done that in the past? We've had multiple meetings and it hasn't been. What I'm saying is that a member wants that in the minutes, they have to request that.
That's right.
At the time, that's Robin's rules, or Robert's
Robert's
rules. So, fortunately, you said we can't go back and
If,
change them.
if our bylaws dictate that we're supposed to have a breakdown of each member's votes, that's what we're supposed to put in the minutes.
I don't read it that way. I think the members' votes are recorded when it's a non-roll call vote.
Okay.
So, but you've made a motion, and does anybody want a second?
I second that motion.
Okay. So I'm gonna say, do it by voice vote. Not
Don't
need
do
a roll
that,
call.
don't do that.
Okay, fine, we'll roll call it.
Can I ask for just for the purpose of the minutes, Dan, is the specific amendment that you're asking to add roll call votes for every motion for the 1024 and 1015 minutes? Is that what you're asking for?
If our bylaws are saying that we're supposed to have each member's vote pertaining to each item that we're voting on, I think that our minutes should reflect that.
I know, I'm asking for clarification of what I can put down in the minutes that records the actual motion you're trying to make.
The motion is to record each member's vote for each item that we voted on as our bylaws.
I have a point of clarification.
Yes.
I don't understand how, like, I'm looking at the October 24th minutes. It seems like, is this recording? I thought this is what we're asking for. Is that not what we're talking about, where it says proposed
Yeah.
operating budget? Chris motion to approve the draft budget circulated by Patrick on Friday. Joel seconded, discussion followed, the motion passed 6-3, and then lists us.
That's the special meeting. That's not the October meeting.
But also,
Yeah.
the meetings are recorded.
So
I'm confused
Second.
what we're not
Wait,
doing.
That's
hold on.
my
So Alana's question, Alana, yes, there are breakdown votes when there was a roll call vote.
Yeah,
What Dan is talking about, where we had voice votes, there's no roll call. We can go around and record each and every member's
got it.
vote because it passes by majority. Yes,
So we're recording.
we're recording as well. So there's another record of it.
There is a record.
Yeah.
On Zoom.
So-
That's out there for everybody to say.
it's my understanding that the secretary's minutes are supposed to be written. So are our minutes reflective of the YouTube, or are we supposed to allow the YouTube?
No, the
to
minutes are the
dictate them?
minutes and they're accurate. It's that
So
you
we
like a
can't
little bit
use
more.
the YouTube or the recording as the point of clarification.
Sure, if anybody has a question in their mind about how a particular board member voted,
They go back.
they can go look at that.
So
It's
why
not
would
enough,
we
it's not a,
reflect
hang
that
on,
in the
it's
minutes?
not a minute, it's not part of the minutes, but the minutes are accurately reflecting the vote, which was not called as a roll call vote at the time,
Mhm.
So.
and that's the issue. So anyway, we have them, yeah,
Yes. What is the goal? Because I think we're.
I really don't know.
Go down the path of neglect, and we have really to address the motions on the table. Let's.
Yeah. So, I'll vote no. I guess we'll do a roll call on it.
Yes, please do.
It's insane. Chris, you want to call the roll? On the motion to amend?
Patrick,
No.
Earl,
Oh,
Alana,
Oh,
Dan,
Yes, I'm sorry, Earl, what was that?
I said, we're wasting time,
I thought you said something different.
and I did, and just so we're context. You keep that energy over there, I said, we're wasting time. and
Alright.
We need to move forward.
We're gonna have, guys, we're gonna have decorum in the meeting and we're gonna have the members address the issues on the table. We have a
I
motion
vote
to-
no. Tom Gans,
No.
Leslie,
yes.
Joel,
No.
Beverly,
No.
Alex Ray.
I was absent for that meeting, but do
you wish to abstain?
Know how yeah, I'll abstain.
Zach?
That will give you what,
No.
Thank you. The motion fails.
Okay. So, any other questions on the October 15th or October 24th meeting minutes? Chris?
Can I just say, Dan, I'm not sure what you're actually upset about here, but if you wish to have a roll call vote on votes, I think you just need to request a roll call vote. I'm always happy to record it. I can't put something in the minutes that didn't actually occur. So if you wish to have a roll call vote on motions that you feel are going to be contentious or ought to be recorded for some reason, just please request that of the president before the vote's actually taken.
I'm not upset. I have no hard feelings. I'm just asking for us to follow our opinions. The other question that I had regarding the October 24th meeting minutes was there was a motion by myself which was tabled regarding the TNC funding payment. The minutes don't disclose what the motion was actually for. It just says that Dan brought about a funding motion. So I would just ask that we amend the minutes to disclose what that motion in detail was.
Okay, the item reads Dan motioned to apply the transfer and construction fund to the construction project debt. Leslie seconded. Chris motioned to table, Patrick seconded. The motion to table passed 7-2. And then there's the reading of the roll call vote from that.
So
I think for my money, that's sufficient.
So the motion that I made was to expense the $34,000 as we put into the 2022 assessment. We were supposed to allot that funding for that. So that was my actual motion to vote on. So again, if we're not going to put that in the minutes so the homeowners can see what the actual motion was for, don't understand why we wouldn't disclose that.
I think what you're saying is you want more detail in the minutes. And I mean, for our secretary to sit there and figure out what detail you think.
If there was a
needs to be in
motion on
there.
the table, I think
And I
it's
think
fair
that-
the homeowners know what the motion was for.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty clear, but you're free to make a motion to amend if you wish.
But we have no idea like where that number comes from.
Yeah, well, that's the substance of the motion.
You didn't give very little.
Well, that's why we tabled it, but
Yeah.
Why we should talk about it?
Because what he's talking about is separate, the separate part from this one. I was just trying to.
So the what was it about? It was about the 2022 assessment that passed, had a second provision in the vote for each homeowner to allow the board to take up to $40,000 out of the TNC fund to use to pay down our $3 million debt. I motioned to bring that to the table to make that payment. And it was tabled, obviously.
okay,
So
wait, Dan, instead of politicking over the issue in and of itself, why don't you state specifically what amendment, are you making a motion to amend?
yes,
What specific amendment would you like to make to item B?
what the actual.
Hang on, 2B of the October 24th, 2023 minutes. No, specifically, what language needs to be in there?
Dan brought a motion to use the $34,000 from the transfer and construction fund to pay our $3 million outstanding debt or original
Pay towards.
towards the principal balance in accordance with our 2022 special assessment that the homeowner voted on.
Okay, is there a second to Dan's motion?
I'll second that. It's fine with that.
I'm gonna be voting no, and I think we should do this by roll call. I just think we cannot sit here and nitpick over the detail of the minutes. Our secretary is a volunteer, like all of us, does a good job. This is sufficient for me. So we'll call the roll unless anybody has any other questions or points of debate.
I
Chris?
think the minutes should reflect exactly what is discussed. And I don't want to rely on YouTube because anybody can delete the YouTube channel and then all those records are gone. If the minutes that are not taken and provided to our website,
Yeah, no,
reflecting everything that, as possible, because I was a secretary before.
yeah, no question, sorry.
And I mean, in my humble opinion, I gave very good minutes. And they were detailed. And I don't think that we should rely on YouTube or Zoom because any of that can be deleted and then the homeowners will never know exactly what happened because the minutes that are now being taken are so,
So is your assertion?
there's no details.
So is your assertion that Chris is note taking is insufficient. Because
I,
wanna
in
know-
my opinion, yes. Yes,
Okay.
because again, we are
No,
relying on the YouTube.
it's a question and answer. That being said, I think,
I just want to clarify, we are not.
yeah.
relying on YouTube. The official records of the corporation are the minutes, period. YouTube is just a way for people to supplement if they wanted more detail, right? They said, wait, what was that? Transfer and construction motion really all about? What was the discussion? They can go listen to that, but every word verbatim isn't going to be transcribed in the minutes. That's not what minutes are, and that's not how minutes work. But we now have a motion on the floor that has been seconded. Does anybody else have any questions or debate on that point?
Before you put something in, you have to be able to give documentation of where you got the number. What's the whole point of this thing? Are the bills outstanding? He just dropped the number on the table for us and said vote, and we being, I think we have a fiduciary responsibility.
I understand that really goes to the substance of the issue, Joel. I don't necessarily disagree with you, but just for the purposes of whether we have this language to the minute, we are now 20 minutes into our meeting, picking over the minutes. Chris, yes?
I'd just like to say that I'm coming at this from a place of good intentions that, first of all, I'm not going to do a verbatim transcription of a meeting. And, in the absence of a verbatim transcription, Dan, I think, I would rather homeowners be able to hear you say word for word what you meant in the tone that you meant it, rather than me summarize your words for you. I'm trying to let you speak for yourself. And I recognize you disagree with that, and that you're welcome to do that. But this came from a place of good intentions and letting your voice be heard directly, rather than me, trying to paraphrase or summarize. So I just want to put those good intentions out there. That's all. I can take the role if we're going to call the question.
Call the question.
Thank you. Patrick.
No. We have a meeting? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
No.
Okay.
Alana,
No.
Dan,
Yes.
I vote no. Tom,
Abstain.
Leslie,
Yes.
Joel,
I don't know.
Beverly,
No.
Alex,
I'm gonna abstain.
Zach,
I'm gonna abstain.
motion fails.
Okay. Any other questions or issues with the minutes? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. And second.
Earl, motion, Joel seconds. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Any recusals, any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion passes. Wow, okay. Moving on to our management report. Michael is going to update us on the capital projects punch list, and we're going to start with the gates for the grounds to this complex. There are two main entrances, well, really one entrance. Michael can explain that, but two swing gates.
So the gates that are on the driveway, the hope was that they would be up and running on Friday. They will be up and running sometime next week. They had to get another part for that. So they will be running, so everybody who, make sure you have your ID with you so you're able to swipe and get in and out. When the office is closed, we will be, there is no access to the grounds. Security does not have access to let people in. So it'll be just done through the office during normal business hours. If you don't have your card or what, a UPS deliveries, they can push the call button and announce who they are, and we will let them in. The gate to the back of the facilities that we did use at a time during our construction as a main entrance, that will be a service entrance only. You can exit through it, but you won't be able to come in through it. Our cameras, they're still in the works, but the light poles that have the pink surveyor's tape on them are the during the evaluation, those are the, light poles that'll have cameras on it, so we can see things throughout the property. The boat storage area, there was the email that went out from Patrick. We're gonna lock the boat storage area with a padlock. Right now, you can only access that, after Monday through the office. We will make provisions for after hours from 2 to 10 on the weekends and after hours to 10 o'clock. That, security will have a key as well. So that'll help out that until you guys come up with a better solution on how we're gonna handle it back there.
What would the hours, Michael, on the weekend? It was 1 away?
Well, 2 to 10 when security is here.
Oh, okay.
So when security's not here, you know, until, I mean, I think this will be okay through the winter. We gotta get something, you know, better access somehow.
We put an electronic arm, there's gonna be a cost to it, I know, but did we put an electronic arm over there or?
There's a lot of options. It came on the table for oversight. We kind of paused it because we didn't have it fleshed out. Dan brought up a great idea. Like he was working, we needed to get to it. It was outside of business hours. We need to make sure there's provisions. My concern would be someone showing up at 9:58, asking security, to go over there. So I had this conversation with Mike. We need to make sure that for off hours, that anyone in the community has access. I just would want to be considerate of someone's time that's doing security detail and probably close it off at 9:30. The other thing that I would be concerned about is we need to absolve security for having the responsibility of vetting the person who comes. How do they know that person, he or she has a right to be over there? I mean, that's the only thing we need to be cognizant of, because any of us could say, hey, Mr. Security Guard, I need to get over there. How do they know we have a right to? We need to at least come up with some type of protective measure.
Well, they
I
have
was gonna say,
access.
That doesn't say, I just want to talk about it. I want to make sure it's clear. that
it might
that is
be,
their
it might be
means.
wise to tell them that the homeowner has to,
They, and then
you
let's
know,
make sure-
swipe it on the door reader out
so
here.
you at least know it's active.
Well, they-
Exactly, so this member gets standing.
Don't forget, they're gonna get through the gate.
Okay, all right, okay.
That somehow, when the office is closed, they gotta get through the gate.
That's a fair point.
Do they can walk around the gate.
Well, how are you gonna
But
get?
You can't take it out.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to protect folks. Okay.
No, it's fine.
Back to the original question, Joel asked about a gate, that's something you guys could decide later on.
It would be cost.
Right, there'll be cost, but I don't recommend an arm. Because they have, there's vinyl nuts and bolts in there, so you don't damage your car if it comes down, and you can just break it away, so it would probably be a slide gate, similar to the gates over at the water plant.
Yep.
Again, just wanna stress
And
for
the
sure.
homeowner should be aware that if you want your boat or somebody to get your boat out, you must be present to avoid, well, because I know what it is. So, yeah, so go get, you know, in the past, we've had that problem, things disappeared and you want your boat, no problem, be here.
Hold on a second, Dan.
Can I just get an understanding of why it wouldn't be acceptable for the homeowner to swipe their pass and the gate goes up? And then they can just get access to the area through the main gate that they're already swiping?
I don't know.
That's something for your.
That's something I just know we needed to make a decision to do something in the interim, but I think that's 1,000% fair.
He says that this is almost ready to go right now.
I think that's 1,000% fair. I don't have a vote, so.
But it's up to you guys, that's up to you.
And then the only other provision I might say is we put like a, either a trail cam or a spot cam. At the main drive-in
So we
there.
know who's coming and going.
Well, that's why you're forcing everybody to go through.
So at least there you know who's coming
Right,
and going.
through the main gate, you're gonna know who's in here. We can, one of the cameras will look at the gate to go down back. That is something you could do later on. Some of the issues we're having as well is, the landscapers dumping leaves back there. That's been a huge issue. It was caught last week where there were leaves coming in from another part of another community. So that was addressed, but that's an issue also. We gotta try to take
Is
care
there
of.
a section we could designate where we could have these guys, okay, if you're gonna dump leaves or stumps, whatever.
There is, but they
they're not
just
wrong.
keep coming.
And we brought this up at oversight. It was a major pain point where you have boats and you have a dump.
Well, yeah,
And
no,
one-
that has to be
But
separate.
at the end of the day, how can you legislate that at 7 o'clock in the evening when that landscaper has access?
Yeah, I don't
Can
see,
come over there.
I don't see cone markings or anything up there though, too. I mean, they just go where they want. There's no cones or anything.
I think the only thing, Dan, I would say is I shouldn't have the right, I don't have a boat, so why should I have the right to go over there? But if I get to the gate and I go over there, maybe I'm a blundering dummy and I wanna go just screw with somebody's stuff. No, if you have a registered boat, you should have
Use
access,
that
access
number to
only,
be, yeah.
period.
Right.
Bottom line. And if you don't have a registered boat or vehicle or anything that is over there, you shouldn't be over there, whether you have access to come
What
into
about
the
the
gate or
leaves?
not. That's a headache. I think
So let
we
me,
gotta come up with some way.
let me try to draw this back a little bit. So for now, until the swing gate is operational, we have the padlock situation in place. When the swing gate becomes operational this week, board, we can talk about it by email and figure out what we want to do from there. I want to stress to people, these are interim measures and discussions. While, as you've heard, a lot of questions and ideas, a bigger plan will be worked out. But I also want to point out and stress, whatever you put back there, you do so at your own risk, period. The association does not accept any liability, does not accept any responsibility for anything that anybody wants to park back there, period. So us locking the gate and putting security measures, the association is not taking on a duty to protect your stuff.
Yeah.
We just can't.
That's good.
We'll have to, as part of the plan, eventually get waivers and releases and all that sort of stuff in place, but that, again, this is interim, that'll be for the longer term plan, but I just want to make that point clear.
Is there any issue with dumping so, cause I was back there. so
I don't know, I want to move on from that. This is a
Okay.
lot of
Yeah.
thoughts out there.
I was just gonna
Marcy,
say,
can we hold, you know what I'm gonna do?
do?
I know there are a lot of, we're going through a lot of maintenance and operational stuff. I'm gonna ask for members to hold their questions just to the end of this section. Usually we wait till the end of the whole meeting, but this is a lot of information, so please just hang on to it for 1 moment.
Can I ask, just to clarify, we
Yeah.
still don't have any cameras set up yet?
No,
We have-
we have
we have-
cameras in the building. We don't have outdoor cameras on the driveway.
Okay. All right.
That's when I was talking about cameras, we don't have cameras on the driveway. We have cameras off the building that looks at the driveway, but right now I can't tell who's on the basketball court.
Do we
I
have,
can see somebody's there, but I can't see what they're,
do we have cameras at the pool?
yes, we've had cameras.
When the swing gate becomes operational, are there cameras that are going to be there or no?
Yeah, those are.
So there are cameras there, they're just not yet operational until the swing gate comes on. Is
No
that right?
time frame though, right? You don't have a time frame of when?
They're hoping the end of the week, they're all finished. They were supposed to be finished on Friday. There were things they had to get that they didn't have, they expect.
Thank you.
Okay, other punch list items for the capital projects. That's a question to Michael, but hang on. At Joel's suggestion, after this meeting, if anybody has any gas left in the tank, you can take a walkabout with Michael and we'll, I'm talking for the board members, well, anybody really, to just go over the punch list. And Michael's agreed to stick around for a few and go over that stuff to make sure we are all on the same page about what needs to be completed and make sure we're.
I'd like to ask a quick question about the pool cameras.
Yeah.
So I walk the dogs all hours of day and night, and there are people jumping the gate at the tennis courts, going on the beach, or going around that other fence on the other side, and they're playing inside the tennis courts. Is there a camera like on the corner of that
Mhm.
The chlorine is that we're catching these people.
Not that we're catching them because I'm just hearing about
Yeah,
it.
you gotta
So-
report this stuff.
Right, so the problem is, listen, we're living these cameras on a day, so there's a 24, for one of us, somebody to call and say, hey. About 3 weeks ago, I saw somebody jump the fence. I
I
can't,
see it quite regularly.
well, that, all we
Like
have
once,
to,
once or twice a week when I'm at different times of day. Some of
the,
them are kids, some of them look like a little bit older, 20s, 30s.
I don't know if we're ever going to be able to identify who they are. I mean, I could see it's a person and who it is, if nobody in the office knows who it is. Or on our security team, I don't know if we could ever find them. But if you know, if you let me know when it's happening, we could try to rectify the situation.
And if
You know, everybody has to remember locks are made for honest people. And that's, you know, one of the things that down by the pass-through gate. We're changing that swipe to exit to a push button request to exit, because what they're doing now is they take their towel and they wet their towel and they throw it in front of the swipe and it opens the gate. So on the exit side.
And I think it should be fair to say too, if you see somebody who's in those areas. Private property, you know, they're not supposed to be there, and it's after hours, call the police. I mean, right?
Right.
If we don't have security there because it's after hours, that's our security, right?
I think just mention it to security guard rather than to get involved, because that's,
No, I mean, if it's after hours, so Tom's saying he sees it, you know, late at night after our security's gone. We don't have 24-hour security, we don't have security patrols, we don't have that budgeted, so, I mean, look. Report it to the office, and if it's, you know, a bonfire going on and you know those people aren't supposed to be there, oh gosh, I guess.
And one thing the best thing is to call the office, leave a message for us. There are, on our after hours, there are certain procedures, prompts there on how to get a hold of the office. If it's just a maintenance problem or security problem, there's one way to get a hold of us. If it's a water emergency, there's another way to get a hold of us. There's just two different situations there. So, and it does get a hold of us. Let us know what's going on, and we could see if we can take it care of it.
Thanks for the question, Tom.
Sure.
All right, so that, Marcy, I think you raised this, there was a question raised at the town hall, about the entertaining showers and hot water. So, I just wanted and we didn't have a lot of folks on that particular call, so I wanted Michael to just address that.
Well, the showers were never intended to be used for showers. They kind of came with the project. Because the showers were there. We can get a hot water heater on that side of the building for them. That's however you guys want to handle it. The reason they were left is because it would have been too much money to remove the showers. The floor would have had to been jackhammered up in the bathroom, and that's why they were left.
And I'm not looking for a board debate or anything on this right now because nobody has any information, but since Marcy raised the question at one of our town halls, I promised I'd get her an answer. There we are.
That is weird.
it's just a question of getting a heater. The facility's there.
Yeah, so
I don't know why we would put tile in a shower that we didn't intend. I mean, we paid a lot of money for tiling. Why would we tile showers and then offer no hot water?
Okay, Dan, that's fine. As far as, let's just.
yeah.
We can't change the past, we can only change the future.
Yeah.
So my ask would be if the board will allow that, Mike, just, you can do some research, come up with some numbers, and then we come back. I think.
Sure thing.
Is that kind of a consensus? Everybody wants to explore whether to activate that?
Yes.
Yeah, my wait for this time.
Okay.
Who's the challenge?
Uh-huh.
Well, again, I think even that, let's get a really good shower.
Well, I'll be honest with you, when I went to the gym. Even here, I mean, that would be more comfortable here for some reason, but. I used right after that, I used to take a shower, go back to work.
So I mean, I've gone in, I realized I do take a shower while I work out, so no, I think it's worth the discussion. Let's find out some information and bring it back to the table, just not, you can do that.
Okay. So one other maintenance and management item, is happier news, the $13,000, collection has hit. Mike, you want to just quickly describe that?
That's somebody where through our collection company, we had, a lien on their, home for several years of unpaid dues. Fortunately for us, they decided to remortgage a few months ago before everything went haywire and got, our payment that was due to us, so. And then it got our payment that was due, and there was also like $3,000 in there that was for, just normal payments that come on throughout the year, from people making their payments, but the big number was from, collections.
Okay, and if board members have specific questions about that account, we can discuss that in an executive session.
I don't have a question about that account, but it was something regarding management.
Yeah.
While he's up,
Yeah. Please.
when we were doing the assessment and we're talking about the gym equipment and everything. We wanted to table discussions on the Smith machine for 6 months. The Entertainium has now been open for over 6 months. Do we have any feedback, or is anybody interested in looking into adding additional equipment into the fitness center? Specifically a Smith machine for people to use
I would love to, where do you think it will go?
in the far side.
Where, all the way on the other side, where the TV's not working, that wall.
No, well, it could go there too, but to the far wall. In the.
I don't use it, but I fully support it. People are interested in.
So I would
that
just
thing, that we
ask then
explore that.
if we do have a consensus or not. If we can give that to Michael, if he can contact Advantech or Advantage and see about what it would cost us for.
Chris, you have your hand up? Hang on, Joel. Chris?
Yeah, I think, Dan, the last time I checked, it's about $5,000 all in. It might be a little bit more. Right now, I think, I'm happy to let Michael inquire again for an updated quote, but it's about $5,000. So I think I think my only question is, where the money is going to come from. I think that's probably contingent on the vote that's being counted right now. And then I think the other piece is looking at the assessment numbers. And I'd also remind the board that the lease for the cardio equipment that was originally in the pool house and now is mostly in the Entertainium is also coming up, I think, in the spring. I think our last payment is in April or May. So the board's going to have to make a decision on at that point on whether to purchase that equipment outright or to renew the lease on that equipment. So that would just be to maintain current level of service as opposed to adding new equipment. So just trying to add the kind of full picture there. Thank you.
I just would ask if Michael can contact them and provide us with a, update. Obviously, probably not going to be before Thanksgiving, so maybe the week after.
I don't have any problem doing that, guys. I would only ask for some assistance, because the only Smith I know is Gary Smith. I mean,
we had it.
I have no idea what a Smith machine is.
So I would be more than happy to jump in and help you out, in particular the pieces and everything that would go with that.
Yeah, I don't know if there are variations and specs and stuff that we need.
Yeah,
to
in
consider.
the
You'll
individual
probably
weeks
know
that we
right?
need, so I'll be more than happy to help you out with that.
Okay.
Thanks, Dan. All right, so I think that's it for the management and maintenance report. So I wanted to open it up for questions both online and here in the audience. And the gentleman in the back, the red sweater on, you were first and been very patient.
Howard Mann,
Yeah.
18 Court. Regarding the storage area in the back.
Yeah.
I don't understand whose vehicles are there, and the people whose, when I say vehicles, I use it in the broad sense, boats.
Yep.
RVs and
Yes, sir.
other items. Whether anybody can leave a vehicle there, do they need permission to leave the vehicle there? Is there any rules as to what type of vehicle they could leave there, how long they could leave it there? Some of them seem to be, in very poor shape, like they're never gonna be removed.
Yeah, the answer is we don't know, and anybody, until we've started to take this on and try to lock that down.
Recently, though, everybody's been required to put stickers on the trailers over there. So you have to come into the office and get a sticker.
Yeah, no, I did see some, I guess, on Facebook where people raising an issue about things being stolen.
Yeah.
And I know you just mentioned that, you leave it there, you leave it there at your own risk. I'm not sure if people really understand that, this is the community, the area, and we have we should have absolutely no responsibility, and it should be, broadly advertised that, you put it there completely at your own risk. So, we're going through this item and the expense of arms and all this other stuff, and people have a mistaken belief, I think, that it's safe there, that they don't have to put it in a private boatyard, that they keep it here, and that the community is gonna guard it, be responsible for it.
So
Yeah, and I think going forward, now that we have it'll be locked down one way or another, I think that alleviates some
Is
of the
there a
problem.
waiver that they sign?
Not yet, but that's part of a bigger plan.
Your own risk.
But maybe in the interim, we could possibly send out a, communication to the homeowners about liability and cover that.
To that point, when this issue was again brought up to oversight, like we wrangled with this and we kind of came up with some ideas to bring back, and his point is spot on. There needs to be some type of release or waiver, that's one. I think two, I would, at the time we proposed, if you're not registered after a certain date, it's all gonna be dumped. But when we brought that, it was uncomfortable feelings and it was a season that was coming up. I will own the responsibility if the board allows to bring this back to oversight, but I would ask that if it comes back with some clear structure, we have to move proactively to accept and adopt that. I think last time it was brought back, we had so many other things and it just wasn't acted on. But and Marcy was on those calls, we argued back and forth for 4 months to try to come up with a solution. And we were doing it with the Lakes folks. I think at this point, we will come back, I'll commit January to come back with a decision. My next board committee meeting, we'll frame out something, we'll stay on the phone, however it takes, frame out something, come back. I just need you all to help us prune it and then come up with something that we can actually act on, please.
So you're saying by January, you guys may have something put together?
We already have something, I promise you. After our board meeting in January, we will modify it and we'll come back and present it to the board. It'll be the February board meeting because we meet the third Tuesday.
Okay.
February meeting is usually canceled.
Okay, cool. We will do our job at the oversight meeting, the third Tuesday of January. And we will present it to the board and you all action as you see fit, but please action. Please action.
And you don't need the board's permission for that, so we're asking you to.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna run it.
Okay.
We'll bring something to the table.
Marcy, you had
Yeah, do the cameras that we've put in place, will they put the license plate? If not, a white vehicle went through at 2 AM, like, what, is that gonna give us any useful information at all?
Won't read license plates.
No.
We can see the license, it's not those specific license plate reader cameras are very expensive.
Really visual.
Yes. We'll see who it is and their car.
But not what they're doing.
A couple more. So would you clean the rear gates that's going in at the back, the whole complex, not the one into the boat storage off the rest?
Bristol, yeah.
Is that gonna be an RV at the front?
Yes.
I think that's the one Michael was saying was gonna be.
It's only gonna be a service entrance. It is not gonna be a member entrance.
So it goes automatically up when you leave, but you can't get in.
Correct.
And then, I think.
That way, when you come in and you're bringing your garbage in to throw it in our dumpster, we can see you all the way to the dumpster.
Is that a date?
We have quite a few that do that.
That's good. And then I think I brought this up, but, I've suggested this a lot of times, and I think maybe we can revisit our security overall.
Right.
But it seems to me security could make periodic passes around the community. And the community is informed in a very, positive way that for everyone's benefit, whenever you're on, our joint property, that you must have your pass, and security is going to be asking to see it. And that way, if somebody doesn't have it, they can either say, please go home and get it, or I'm afraid I'll have to ask you to leave, it's private property. And I don't know that that would be a problem.
So, and we talked about this at each of the town halls, when we were talking about the budget, proposed increase for security. The specific protocols and carrying out of the security contract, is something that we committed to, because a lot of people have seen a dip in quality of the service. And so we committed to collecting all of those points, sitting down with our security provider, and setting some goals and expectations. That conversation. So I think we can put that sort of on the list. My sneaking suspicion is they'll tell us that's not part of what they're paid to do, and that, and I'm not, just to clarify, are you saying walk around the property that they're already on, or are you saying get in a car and drive around the community?
I think there are some variables, but certainly to go to the basketball court, the tennis court, pickleball, and make around, and at the pool.
Then I misunderstood, yeah.
Yeah, and.
I thought you were saying drive
Go
around.
down to the beach, to go to the dock where the boats are, and just say, I need to see your pass.
Right.
And that's,
We can have that conversation with them. I'm sorry, I thought you were saying to drive around, in which case
that would be great, but I'm not. but-
it's a whole thing, mileage and cars and insurance and.
Is there currently a policy or a practice regarding management and following up on them? Daily,
I
weekly,
was
monthly?
fishing on the lake, on Davies Lake on Friday, and a security guard came onto the island and asked to see my pass. It was the first time.
Well, they usually do question.
They do, yeah.
They do, and in fact, we had a gentleman, in fact, it was when you were in the office the other day talking, that homeowner that came in the same time, the reason he was in here, because he tried to get in to use the gym on his wife's pass.
Oh.
And he lost his wife's pass, or he lost his pass. And he was in the office to get another pass. So security has been spoken to check things out a little better. And one thing, guys, I always, and Martha, you do come to us a lot, thank you.
He means it.
I do, because if I don't know it's broke, I can't, but what I'm saying is a lot of times you had several things you brought to me that's been discussed on Facebook. This office does not, and I say it again and again and again, does not go on Emerald Green Community Facebook page. We have no idea what's going on there. If somebody sees somebody and they're putting it out there, it's not going to get fixed there if it is a Emerald Green Property Owners Association problem.
And since you brought that up, I will comment on that Facebook page and say, please contact the office.
I don't know. I can't be on there because I'd never get anything done. I'd be defending this place all the time.
Dan and Leslie had questions, but I actually just want to address that Facebook thing for a minute. I can't stress enough to this community that is, I think it's called the Emerald Green
Owners Group.
is not the board or management's social media. We don't own it. We don't moderate it. We have no idea and no control over what people post on there. I don't even know if everyone who's on there is an Emerald Green member, a current member. There could be past members, there could be Lake Louise Marine members. I have no idea. So, I mean, it bothers me immensely that our financials and other information are discussed out on that Facebook group. It annoys me to no end, but we have no control over it. There also shouldn't be any debate of board issues or POA issues on there, but again, it happens. But I just can't stress enough to people, you're not gonna see the board engage directly on there.
Well,
It's just not, because we don't control it. Not only that, we have no idea who's viewing that stuff and what information people are trying to gather. We have no clue. But social media is just not the place to do that in the first place. These meetings are. But I just want to stress for people that all the chitter chatter and rumor mongering that goes on in that thing is, that's all it is. It has nothing to do and no effect on what we do in here and the decisions that we're going to make. So again, to Michael's point, it gotta report it to the office or email the board. Marcy, I know you put that out there as well. You know how many emails I got? 0.
Yeah,
None.
I would firmly.
Please reach out to us, reach out to the management office. Don't go post on that dopey social media site.
Yeah, we as board members are responsible for doing board business in a board context. In a
Anyway.
board forum.
Sorry, I went off on a complete rant. Dan had a question about following up on security, and then Leslie had her hand raised.
Is there a policy or practice in place for management to follow up daily, weekly, monthly on what the security firm is accountable for?
The security firm keeps a logbook that we have access to on a daily basis if there's issues or something like that. When there is a specific issue, they are spoken to right away. But in general, we don't have daily meetings, no. So,
Well, so if there's.
yeah, there is
So there's
communication.
accountability
Yeah.
already in
Oh,
place.
absolutely.
Yeah, I seen the book.
Absolutely.
Okay, Leslie?
Okay, back to the security, I think that in order for the security to be and the community to be informed, I think the jobs, the security should have a job description that as the board, we are aware of what their job description is. And the community should know as well what their job description is, what they are allowed and not allowed to do. Without
Totally agree.
the community not knowing, is there
Completely
a
agree.
job description for the?
And that can be part, I think that's a great idea. And I think that can be part of the discussion where we sit down with them and set some expectations to the extent we don't have written protocols in place. And more importantly, which I think is the point you're making, that the community understand what those rules are. Yes, Joel?
3 things. So the first one is, if Michael, is anybody in the office, and I'd ask you this, as far as like from the tapes from the entertaining, and let's say from the day before, to look at those tapes to see like how many people were in here, then compare that to the number of swipes that we have. So this way we know that security is doing their job. Like I've also been here and it was Carl and there was a group of gentlemen that came along that didn't belong here. They tagged on to a guy and he asked them and he escorted them out. So he did his job. But I think as a backup, we need something, you know, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to watch every minute. You can fast forward things and, you know, that would be fine. So, that was that. Another thing was, throwing out there, I was at a party the other day and someone from another community on the lake asked if the board would consider maybe opening our gym and entertaining them up, and then we'd be able to charge a fee. I said, I would ask, I didn't think it would work. I had no, I'm just putting it out to the board.
Depends what community it is.
It would be the.
Lake Louise Marine, they could join our community. We can get rid of their association and they can
No, they
join
would
us. We can do a lot of cleaning over there.
They weren't asking that, they were asking to have access to our entertainment and gym for a fee.
I think you would hear in a sounding of, but also I don't think our bylaws would.
No, I just said I would bring it up and I'm bringing it up. And then the next thing is like to thank Michael because he's done a lot. We've got that window fixed over there. He's done the dog park. You guys, like I said, I was over at the boat storage area, I don't know who was working that Bobcat, but they did a beautiful job of cleaning up that area over there.
Yeah.
Came in, so I just wanna say thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
Yeah,
I have
Beverly.
one thing, because security keeps on coming up very frequently. It came up on all the town
I'm sorry.
halls.
Hey, one thing?
Sure.
I'm sorry, so security, I forgot, I'm sorry, give me an age credit on that one. As far as cameras for the security, is it as simple as we buy them a laptop and we give them access to our feeds, or is it a lot more complicated? It might be, I know it might be.
Once everything's up and running, they'll have access.
Perfect, because that would also help us to be able to see what's going on.
But, you know, they're, if they're here
Right,
in February, something's going on at the pool, I mean, they're not there to
Well, they
manage
just call the sheriff.
and run around.
Oh,
We
100%.
don't have that type of contract with.
so, but they can call, they can let you know, and you can call the sheriff, or they can call the sheriff on the road. That's fine,
Beverly, please.
Right. So I just want to make sure too that we're addressing, and I think we already have plans to do this, that the job description is great, but there needs to be a formal review process for the job description, right? The job description does nothing if we're not reviewing these people and giving them feedback and having something on the books about it.
You're absolutely right. And
Suggest, I mean, we have a contract with the security. So in the contract, and you can revise it and put down, because it's not a job. Their contract is what they're agreeing to do, what we expect them to do, that's their job description, and that'd be part of the contract.
yeah, and that's kind of how I was envisioning it would work. We would come up with whatever written protocol and then just use it as an amendment, an addendum to the contract. But I think Beverly's point about regular reviews is well taken.
Yeah.
You know, I had talked about it in terms of just setting some goals and milestones, but I think you're right. We need to make it a regular interval and review
Right.
that. Yes, sir, you've been very patient.
Yeah, you talk about sending stuff to the office.
Yeah.
A month ago or so, when we had those heavy rains, that new construction from Lake Louise Marie's side, just before
Yeah,
our gate.
right.
It was, the whole lake on our side was turning brown from the silt coming in, and I sent an email.
Yeah,
saying,
I saw that.
"Look at this,"
Yeah,
but nobody responded, nothing, and is anybody looking at what they're doing there with the stones? Are they going into the lake? Or are they still on the property line?
I know we talked
They're-
about that, but.
They're not into the lake. They're on their line.
Got somebody's
They're-
water.
Yeah,
When did you send an email?
But I don't think that's our property though.
Michael.
no, the lakes are proper.
Oh, I see.
You did say it when I was on vacation.
Yeah,
And I apologize. I talked to Michael about it, but you're right. I should have responded, and let you know what's going on. Usually do. Forgive me.
Yeah, but we've kept an eye on that, what's going on over there.
What is going on? What is it?
It's a house.
The house?
Lines over there.
they're doing a short.
Stones in the shoreline.
Yeah, they're doing
There's a
the.
silt fence there, right?
The stacks are like.
There's also a culvert here that comes in from under that property, the adjacent property that the homeowner bought.
So, there are there any other questions from those folks in the audience?
Closer.
Okay,
We're down.
anybody on Zoom, if you want to use the raise hand feature, if you have any questions on management or operations stuff, I'll also look in our chat. One question from Sharon says, when will the light poles have operational cameras? I see that question was quite a while ago. I think we talked about that. When the gates are up, they'll have operational cameras. What happens if you hire Bradford to get your boat for you and you can't be there?
No, that, you'll have to make that arrangement and we'll have to see what, for right now, Bradford can come into the office. This is this time and take the key, sign out for the key or any landscape company. But sooner or later, that's for the oversight committee to figure out how we're going to work that moving forward.
Because, yeah, I think we should take that as a note, especially because that's probably gonna be a common theme.
Okay. Another question in the chat is it's from Martine J, get a heater for the shower, why not? Well, why not is it's a cost and we have to figure out what that looks like. So we'll look into that. And Mark says Smith machine is an all-in-one. Okay, I think Dan's gonna work on that, so apologies, I know we're getting into some chat questions and points that are a bit behind, so anybody online using the raise hand? Going once, going twice, okay. Before we go on to the next item, which is our financial review. I just wanted to announce that the proposed budget has passed 121 and 3/4 in favor, 99 opposed. So thank you folks for voting, and thanks to Michael and Alana for the hard work on getting the final budget out the door. All right, financial review. We are looking at our October 2023 financial report, the update from the treasurer, and then we'll vote. Board members, this is tab 2 of your board.
So, overall expense wise for October, we were $14,824 under our budget. 1,800 of that came from outside services. We were under 1,700 in pool. We were under 3,000 in grounds, and we were under $1,200 on lakes repair and maintenance. We did spend $0 in contingency last month. A lot of those figures have been obviously incorporated into the budget and where we're going, but we're currently $55,000 over budget year to date. So obviously something that we're just focused on. Billing for electric at the pool continues to be an opportunity. Looks like we're going to be getting quarterly bills. I was under the impression that that was resolved from the electric company, but it's apparently not. So we didn't get a bill last month, so we could expect anywhere from a $300 to a $30,000. Because your guess is as good as mine on how much that electric's going to cost.
And we didn't budget either for their recent $1.66 increase that would be hitting per kilowatt. So
just some general notes that I have for the financials. Our prior audit wanted us to adjust protocols and put tangibles in place to correct the fuel expenses. Currently, we're at $10,000 on fuel expenses. When you're drilling down into that, it looks like we have a lot of fuel being used at the CES in Monticello, anywhere from $800 to $1,200 every week. So we want to make sure that we're putting tangibles in place. My ask is, what is this board or management's policy on who is allowed to use fuel? Do we have a policy in place on who gets fuel cards and for what vehicles?
they're person specific.
Okay.
So you may have one person buying fuel for 2 vehicles, 3 vehicles, or whatever, 2 vehicles.
It looks like we have several vehicles being used. I don't know what the policy is.
That's 10 stacks a month.
No, $10,000 for the year.
For the year, okay.
We are, and when you put that also into the context of the water company, the water company has also added another $8,000 in fuel expense for the year, so that's $18,000 between gas and diesel. The audit called it out.
Right, when the audits always had we used to have vehicle specific. And what ended up happening with the vehicles specific, it was we had an employee that was stealing gas. And he was let go for that. So then that's when we went to person specific, and that seemed to work.
So I think we just need to figure out what our specific policy is. It looks like I'm seeing 3 people consistently using the card, anywhere from 4 gallons to 80 gallons each time. So it's a lot.
Do you think that'd be properly addressed in the HR committee, or is it more of a financial?
It's a financial impact because it was on the audit, so I want to make sure that we're bringing it up.
No, I mean, in terms, if there's no.
Oh,
written
the policy, yeah, probably. I just want to know what the current policy is for management
Yeah.
to ensure that we're, what the accountability is on that.
I think that also needs to be discussed in HR
Okay,
as well, because that needs to be discussed with them.
so we'll take that.
Yeah.
Also noticed the expenses, and I'm wondering if we should reclassify this, as we get closer to the end of the year. We had $13,783 year to date paid out to Kaufman Dolovich for a case that regarding the water company. But it came out of the association's fund.
Yeah, the association is the named defendant, so this was, too many specifics on litigation.
I don't want to.
No, I know, but it's a fair question, so, the EGPOA and Michael and Chet personally were named as, Chet too, right? Named as defendants in this lawsuit incorrectly. But we had to tender it under our insurance since that's who had to be defended, so that's where that's payments coming out toward our deductible.
But it wasn't a deductible though, it was an actual payment for
the deduct, yeah.
$10,000 deductible.
If you go into it, it's billing us per hour, so I don't
Yeah.
know how that would be on our DNO.
That's how it works. So when you submit a claim and the defense costs are part of the covered defense costs, they apply to the deductible. So you have to pay the lawyer's bills. The insured has to pay the lawyer's bill for the first, whatever it is,
Yeah.
right? And that's why you're seeing.
So
that.
my thought was,
Yeah.
if it was a case regarding the water company, why wouldn't it be on the water company's DNO?
It
And
should be, but they're not the named defendant. That's the problem.
I
And,
remember when
yeah.
that case came in, it was dismissed and was started again, and they named the association. It was really supposed to seem that the claim was against the water company, but the association is the named defendant, unless that's been changed.
No, it hasn't.
I haven't
And-
seen the case.
And a motion to dismiss was made. There have been a couple conferences with the court. This is all public, so it's no big deal, but the judges, I think.
I
at
just
his
care about the
last-
money because we're.
Yeah,
over
no,
budget.
it's a really good point, because the judge is like at his last string with these plaintiffs. And why in the world it's not, why it's not dismissed at this point when they have
So
the
is
wrong
there,
defendants.
is there
Yeah.
consideration to reclassify this to the water company at that
No,
point?
they went after the owners. Not the water company. They went after the owners. So the water.
Because if the plaintiff isn't even a resident,
And they're water company customers. I don't disagree with you, but that goes to the legal issues. So the classification of the defendant is whoever they sued. It's America, I guess. So
One of
it-
their settlements was
wait,
lifetime.
don't,
yeah.
don't. No. So, yeah, so that I wish it would be on the water company, no offense, Alan, but I wish it would be on the water company. It still doesn't belong there. Let's say that, because it's a bogus lawsuit, but
So this Kaufman, Dolovich and Wallach is the DNO
it's
insurance?
the defense,
counsel?
it's the firm. It's the firm assigned by our insurer. So when we submit claims, they pick defense counsel. We have no control over that. And just full disclosure, I don't know if it's what you're getting at, but that's my firm. It's the firm where I work. I had nothing to do with the direction of that case. And we do have another case involving EGPOA. It's the same team of lawyers. It's a team out on Long Island. I fully disclosed that to the board. There's no conflict of interest. I get no financial benefit out of it. I'm a partner in the firm and I get no origination credit.
You can make, you're right to say that, but I'll just tell everybody, that firm is a big firm. I have other clients when they have claims, insurance claims. It's Kaufman Dolovich gets assigned all the time by different insurance companies. It's just a matter of course. It has nothing to do with our president, etc. And we have insurance, and the insurance company assigns lawyers to defend it. You have to pay them up to your deductible. We have no control over the cost of doing business.
Yeah, and
Thank you.
again, I'm not sure that was Leslie's question entirely, but I just wanted to make sure folks knew that, and that's something I disclosed to the board as well.
so two more things about the financials. Looks like we were just billed $4,000 for 2 invoices to, the engineering firm for the dam. But the invoices literally disclose nothing of what the scope of work is. So why are we paying them? And what is? the
Well, that
scope?
was an invoice that they didn't send us from last year. And I
It
would
says
have to-
from September of 2023.
Right, they extended the permit for Davies Lake. I'd have to look at it, Dan, further to see what exactly it was entailed. That was more stuff for Davies Lake and stuff for Lake Louise Marie.
If we could just get an update on that. And then we've also got,
Like, if,
no, go ahead. I'll let
no,
you-
no, you
I'm just
just
trying-
asked me kind of before the meeting, I could have those answers for you right up, it's. Pull it up now, I don't.
So you, offhand, you just don't recall.
I don't know what it's for
Um,
specifically.
we have had a general liability incur. Question is, we're talking about suits and stuff like that. We had another general liability bill our insurance as a deductible on 11/1. Obviously for those here, a general liability claim would be, somebody outside of workers' comp or something like that. Question that I have is do we have, or is there anything that we can put in place regarding possible safety checklists, for, making sure some of our equipment is up to standards where, maybe we can remove any liability, like for instance, the swing sets out there, or, equipment at the pool house or items like that, just so we can mitigate any risk that we have of safety issues. For the association.
Almost like a preventive maintenance schedule.
Yeah, I don't know what we have in place right now. I'm just seeing legal issue after legal issue after legal issue, and our budget is taking the hit after one claim after another claim after another claim after another claim. And I'm wondering what provisions we have or what provisions we need to put in place to make sure that we can do preventative.
I'm not sure what he's talking about. What was it? Rick? Oh, so that's
I wasn't
probably,
gonna say that, but yeah.
that's probably that monies that are going out to that is the $10,000 deductible for that.
Well, that invoice says it's a $5,000 deductible.
They bill the first part of it and then they work up to whatever.
Question I'm wondering is how do we mitigate these safety occurrences going forward? I think that's a conversation.
Well, we've had a good track record. That the one at the pool is something that was out of our hands that was, well, I can't really get into
Yeah.
that
You can do
anymore either. The other ones are stuff we had no control over. As far as our stuff, we pretty much take care of all of that
So-
and watch that.
Yeah, so as a board, we can come up with something off table or in another committee to do a risk assessment.
I think,
that's
so
what
that's
we
kind of
do.
where I'm going with this. If we don't have something in place, perhaps myself and Earl can work on a safety checklist through the oversight committee.
Yep.
Where maybe we can go through things, and I think it would help risk management and maybe some of our insurance costs from ballooning in the years to come, where we can say, hey, we're putting these policies in place to review safety practices for our association to mitigate risks.
I think the only thing I would ask that we're very cautious on the perception that there's this cascade of errors that we are doing as a result of not being proactive, to our point, from a risk perspective.
Yeah.
We have been hit with some things that are completely outside of our control. I do think, to your point, Dan, we owe not just this board, but the residents that being said, and that it's impacting our bottom line as a community, as a board, we're gonna take the initiative to try to go a little further on our own to come up with some of those risk measures and we'll report. it
Yeah,
back
that
to the
doesn't
community.
assume liability at
Exactly,
all.
exactly,
That's
exactly,
not that's a quality assurance
Yep,
measure
exactly.
to
Keyword.
improve even further. And so I
Yep.
come from a quality background, so
Yep.
that's why I say that.
Yeah, I'm just asking,
Bingo,
if
exactly.
we don't have anything in place, maybe we can put something in place that will help.
Yeah,
And I would say with regard to the insurance cost mitigation, so the underwriters and our insurers do come through our broker and say, hey, we need you to adopt this, we need you to have that policy in place. For example, there's a contractual indemnity piece that we're gonna be working on before our next renewal. That's gonna be part of the policy that Mike will have to implement each and every time we have a contractor, including our current contracts with any of our providers. So those sort of risk transfer, risk mitigation pieces from the insurance side, are, we can come up with them, but I don't know that the insurers are gonna care as much versus the ones that they tell us they need to see.
Right, but I just worry that by the time it gets to the insurer mandating, we've already skipped steps that we could have taken to prevent
Well,
issues from.
So they're the experts because they're the ones that are gonna have to pay out
Yeah.
about it. So we should absolutely take their advice for whatever
Right.
risk strategies they're saying to implement. And they're gonna be even more stringent than we are because they're the ones paying. You know, we are paying, but at the end of the day, they're paying even more.
yeah, exactly. Thank you.
So,
Well put.
Can I go back to the lawsuit
Mhm.
on abroad? Back when I first joined the board, 2013, 2014, there was a project that I felt that I was not allowed to bid on because I was a member of the board. And I understand, Patrick, you're a partner there, you do gain financial gain from this.
No, I don't. No, I don't. That's just wrong. That's not true at all. My compensation has absolutely nothing to do with whether a case is assigned to my firm or not.
But
None.
you're a partner in the law firm.
Yeah,
And I understand what Marvin says, you know, it's like putting a bunch of names of law firms in a bowl and insurance companies.
and that's not what they do either.
Well, that's what.
No, they do not put them in one. They select quality firms.
So we're clear that it's a very large firm. I've had other clients who had claims, insurance claims. The insurance company has assigned this Kaufman firm before I even knew Patrick years ago, and they do it with other things. It's one of the major firms that does insurance defense work. Patrick, the fact that he happens to be the president, it's zero conflict or any problem.
Well, I
How many
feel
members, how many
like,
partners you have in your law firm?
We're to almost 300 lawyers. I don't know how many.
How many others you have in your place?
excuse me, I'm not speaking about that.
Yeah, but you're comparing apples to oranges.
Well,
All right, guys, I want to just, let's just.
it would have been improper for me to bid for a job. It was like a Martha Stewart inside trading type thing. Now, and I understand if there is one lawsuit that Patrick's firms have. When it comes 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then I start questioning. So my question at this point is does your law firm represent just one case, or do you have more than one?
So specifically as it relates to you as a business owner, accountants and lawyers, they don't follow the same criteria. That's one. Period. Second of all, the insurance company, they make that decision.
And I understand. that.
And being that that's the case, there's really nothing else to discuss with this. Because we don't have the right to dictate who the insurance provider that provides services for our community elect to represent them. We have no control over that.
I just want to say, I disclosed this in an email to
Yeah,
everybody
this has
on
been
the 5th of
done multiple
October,
times.
and there's been no question about it since. That's political grandstanding.
So
going on right now.
what I would
We
say
really
is-
don't have time for this.
So this is what,
The
this
community needs to know,
This,
that's all.
but the community needs to know transparently, one, the context of it. It's been discussed. Anything else other than this, we will take this in executive session.
All right, I'm not taking the bait. I'm not taking the bait.
It's It's
But
done.
if you have to, 405, that.
Okay, but again,
Start watching.
but my only ask is,
Start looking in, you know.
but Leslie,
Improper.
but Leslie, my only ask is.
Are you accusing me of doing something improper?
No, I'm just would like to know.
Yeah,
that's all.
but one of the things that you have to be cognizant of, when you use words like he is an attack on someone individually. His firm is represented by, I mean, his firm is being represented, there's nothing else to
That's
discuss.
okay, and I understand that.
So
So how
this-
many lawsuits?
But again, that's not to be
This firm
discussed.
represented.
That's not to be discussed at this table because we have no control over that.
All right.
Chris, you have your hand up?
A motion to approve the financials.
Second. Anybody have any other questions on the financials? Joel?
So how much longer do we have on the loan for the golf course? Is it
Oh,
gonna be done?
I thought I said that in the beginning.
Is it done?
I know we have about 15,000 left.
No,
I mean,
so
it's
the
gonna be
prior, so October's finances show 15,000, that doesn't, it, obviously November, what is it, 4th or 5th? The first week in November is when we make the official payment. So $10,090 came out of that, so it leaves us with about 5,000. So December and the loan is.
We need to celebrate that. Great.
All right, Ken, I think we put a motion on the table.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah, all right,
I thought I brought that up before, but I'm sorry.
no, all in favor of approving the financials? Aye. Any opposed? Any recusals? Any abstentions? Hearing,
Patrick second.
any recusals? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion passes. All right, we're gonna go on to the committees. First up is our Lakes Committee. Joel, as chair, if you can just, I don't know if there's anything to report out, but I do have a question on where we stand on the C-SLAP application submission.
Okay, so basically we had on Wednesday, November 15th at 7 p.m., we had a meeting. There were 5 people that attended. We discussed different things. We talked about the C-SLAP. I believe we're going to be filing that application probably around December or January. There's going to be people that are going to be trained, and those people have to sign waivers. So either they come into the office and pick up a blank waiver to sign, or they send it off to Marvin. So that'll be moving on, and those classes will start, I guess, sometime in the spring. And also, I believe one of you, Blake, is going to be might be joining us, so we'll see what happens with that. And the purpose of that C-SLAP thing is to test the water and also to look for indigenous species of plants and things like that, and that's what we'll be talking about.
And we previously allocated $500 for that.
I'm sorry?
I was just saying, we previously allocated $500
Yeah.
to,
And we'll be calling for that, we'll be calling for that much.
What community is involved with this?
I think the one, no, they did not
You
involve.
said Wanacue.
I mean, I messed up. I apologize. The only thing is they're requesting, so they might do the training together. That's it. There's no, that would be it. So.
Okay.
That's that. We also talked about, cleaning up the shoreline on Treasure Lake for property owners that wish to move some rocks around and things like that. So we took care to discuss that. We also talked about trying to control the weeds on our lakes. So what we're gonna try and do is get a group of guys together in a boat and use this thing called a razor rake, which is basically an inverted wire that has razors on it, and basically pull it through the weeds, and it cuts the weeds, they fall to the bottom. So it, because I believe last year some boaters on the weeds were getting them motors fouled up and stuff, and I get it out up on Treasure as well, and here, it's supposedly
And this is all volunteer work, right?
yeah, well, okay. So we did that,
Except for the $500 that Patrick spoke about.
Yeah, okay.
right, well, that doesn't go to us.
Yeah,
That
that's
goes
what-
to
yeah.
the state.
That goes to the, for the
Right.
C-SLAP,
the
Right,
application
that goes to the CSLAP.
the
And
application.
then, we talked about the boat storage area again, and we're willing to help, like, the Lakes Committee and the Village Committee, so helping hands, we're willing to provide the labor, and I believe Michael has a listing of the VIN numbers for certain boats that are there, so we'd be willing to put that list up and go online and see if we can identify, because if the boat or vehicle has been registered, you can go on and see who was the prior owner of the thing. If it wasn't, then you're done, and that's that, so that takes care of that. So that's it, we'll have another meeting, following the plan.
great.
Thank you, brother.
Questions for Joel? Okay,
Thank you.
yeah.
Exactly.
I didn't really come in to discuss this, but then you're bringing up about the lakes, and I've missed a couple of meetings. I noticed the last couple of years, and you're sort of sloughing over, I'm not saying nobody cares, but I don't know if it's being looked at as strong as it should be. There's more and more growth around certain shorelines that just didn't exist a few years ago. I'm here for 30 some odd years, and where I happen to live, it was crystal clear. Still is pretty good, but I noticed the last couple of years, I don't know what the plants are, I don't know how they spread, but it's something that I don't know if I'm bringing people that are specialists in this, how they analyze it, how they treat. Even on certain days when it's windy or not windy, you get a different vision when you look at it from up on my deck. So sometimes it looks like the lake is the same as it's always been. All of a sudden you'll get a clear day and you could see all of these plants coming up. My neighbor's house, my house, the house after. This is going to become a really big problem if it's not looked at in the next couple of years and really solved one way or the other. I'm not making a big deal out of it now, but I don't know if there's enough effort really being done to make reports. Why is it happening? Where does this come from? What type of plants are these? How is it spread? Is it being brought in by other boats? Is it by what people are treating their lawns with? I have no idea, but I'm telling you, in the next couple of years, you're gonna have a really big problem. We don't have a huge lake. It looks big if you never lived on a lake, but it's a couple of 100 acres. And if this thing keeps closing in, you're gonna have a problem with the lake, which is going to affect the entire community. That's all I wanted to say.
So I will say to this point, I'm on Surrey. My lake is horrible, but just as a board member, I try to keep my mouth shut. And I've talked to my neighbors. Austin's right next to me. I'm like, Austin, we need you to say something, just so there's not a perception of any impropriety. I think that's a fair point. I've been here 3 years, going on 4, and when they drain the lake, I see I've never seen before. I mean, so he's right.
Tom, you had
So, the CSLAP will cover some of that we'll be able to do as far as identifying plants, which will identify how they travel, based on species. So that's a big part of that project that's there. I have had conversations with DEC about ways of mitigating some of this stuff. We need to do the CSLAP and identify stuff first and then get back to them on some of those items. There's different ways of mitigating it. Some of it they have to do themselves, and we just have to apply and ask them to come do the application for it because of the drinking water supply versus like Davies, which is not. So you can do different treatments for that, but we have to complete the CSLAP first to get these identifications and do that. One of the things that we're working on with New York City, which I was going to bring up at the meeting in December with Joel, and I spoke to Margaret briefly about it. So New York City water supply is combining with pretty much a whole national situation on actually not the oil and stuff, but salt. So salt is becoming a big problem across the country in water and land. Like, Alex, you can't grow grass within 3 feet of the road because it just gets dead. So next year I'm going to make my lawn look like his. I'm going to put that thing on 3 feet because it dies because of the salt. But all the things that Brad and Marcy identified are going into all those pipes going in. Yes, there are other pollutants we do worry about, but this is becoming a significant concern when you're getting too much saline in the property and in the water system. So we're going to start testing this New York City water system. And it's something that as part of our CSLAP, we may want to talk about taking some samples of that stuff.
I'll make one other comment, being we're staying on the subject for a minute or two. A lot of us have things that we treat our lawns with. Different services come in. I don't know how well some of these services are checked out and what they're putting onto the lawns or what's running off. I've talked to some people driving some of these trucks, and I thought they were professional. They go to school and they learn about all the chemicals. I'm not going to badmouth any group in particular, but some of the answers I've gotten, I've never done this before. It's my first day on the job. I'm really a fireman, but I happen to be off, and they're hiring people and give us a list. And this is not a joke. They give us a list and we go around what they say. I said, do you have any idea what would cause this little problem? I'm like, we don't know anything about that. We just have our list and they charge you an annual fee or whatever it is. And that's the way. So maybe people should be checked out. Maybe we should have qualifications that some of the people that are coming in to treat with chemicals have to show that they have a degree or they have some knowledge and they know what they're putting down or what's running off.
That's a whole
Because
nother.
if you don't know what the heck they're putting down, they may be doing something that should be for another lake or a river or whatever it is. But I know it's changing and we didn't have these problems years ago.
Right. For the Lakes Committee. Yes, sir, in the back.
Pardon?
Recognize the gentleman behind you.
Thank you. My name's Ali Lockman. My wife and I live on Manchester.
Hi.
And I always wanted to be on the waterfront, so my wife took control and found a property that they built a home beach.
You were advised.
She didn't listen. If you see me drinking, I just got done with cataract surgery the other day. And now that I can see so clearly, I'm not sure I can. So yeah, we were very excited. We built a beautiful home on Manchester. And then after the season, we saw what happened when they opened the dam. So of course, it's not very pleasing to look at. My question really is, on the other side of Treasure Lake, the beautiful side of Treasure Lake, the people that live there do not pay any fees, and they're enjoying the pleasure of Treasure Lake. And here I'm paying fees, and I look outside my window, and it's very disturbing. I'm trying to figure out why, and just to let you know, there's some energy flowing on our street, where we're considering hiring a contractor to dredge it. So why would the people that live on the other side of the lake do not pay anything, enjoy the lake, and we cannot? So why can't we, out of our fund, dredge it and let us enjoy the lake? I don't know what the policy is. This is my first meeting. So I'm just bringing it up and to see why I would have to pay to have it dredged to make it look feasible to live by.
So, I'm not sure exactly where the property lines on that stuff are. I'll let Michael talk about whether it can be dredged or not, but just in terms of the fees, that's just the deeding of the property, right? Wherever they land and they're not in the HOA. We have the same thing on Lake Louise Marine.
So, I'm just asking why the association cannot take control and do it and make it pleasurable for us.
Perhaps, what you could do is you could take all of our emails, supply us with some pictures of what specifically it is you're talking about, and we can ask if there's a company that can take a look at this and what it would cost. At least that isn't gonna cost us much, if anything, really.
Is there a treasury for the lake committee? Is there money?
There's treasury, not treasury.
It's a federally protected wetland. That's where the issue comes. It's not a wetland, it's a federally protected wetland. So we have to go through a lot of hoops to get him to do that. The last time we tried to go through get dredging done was in 2012. 2013, they let us, we had the Would come in and they allowed us a 10-foot swath from everybody's dock and then a 20-foot swath of cutting the lily pads for navigational purposes. And that's all they would let us do. We could, get back. I know some of the wetland laws have just changed, but
And we blew all the money on the budget on that particular.
Oh, yeah, that was, I think it was $72,000 it cost us to do that.
Besides the solar lease.
Huh?
That was besides the solar.
Right, that was before I came back in April of 12, so that was before me. They were trying to do other things. The other side of the lake alley has riparian rights, so they can do all of that and don't have to pay anything. It's kind of like Lake Louise Marine.
Can we just possibly look at exploring our options and then give him an answer on what those options would be?
Well, I think that this is something that really should go to, sorry guys,
The
the
Lake's
Lake
just gonna
Committee.
say.
And to get more in there because I think there's also issues on
certain parts of Lake Louise Marie, and it all should probably be addressed at the same time. So I think it's really for.
I'm talking about just removing some loose timbers and maybe some rock and stuff. He was talking about dredging.
Yeah, but the problem was, I did research on this years ago when Treasure Lake was called Mud Pine, and it was completely remote. Then when development started, no one would buy property on Mud Pine, so they changed the name. In the old days, in the 1800s, where Manchester is, that was heavily wooded. So when the water went down, you can see not lumber laying around, those are giant tree trunks. And there was a gentleman on Manchester who did the research, with a beautiful house, unfortunately passed away. The cost of removing one of those stumps was astronomical. So
Because of its protection status?
it's besides, that's the other.
You don't understand, these stumps are in, these things go out, like you would not believe.
Yeah, this is, I think committee needs to.
Yeah.
It's good historical information.
It's great. I do think we need to redirect that. We got to get our meeting back on the rails here and we got to redirect that back to the Lakes Committee. Brad and Marcia, how you guys want to split it up?
So I think Brad's going to bring up Princeton Hydro, but I just want to bring up that, Lake Louise Marie is in many ways the gem of the community. Is where the public beaches, where people launch their boats. Also, it's our drinking water. So we've counted about 75 drain pipes. Some of them are just, gutter pipes. A lot of them are culverts, some that come drain off the road with all of the salts and chemicals and things. There's all the street runoff goes in there. And we had several toxic algae blooms, which are deadly toxic, which would make people and animals very sick or even kill them. And you mentioned before about lawn and pest control. There's no regulation. I know one of our neighbors gets every possible spray that could ever happen to kill every single bug and make every blade of grass stand up straight. And that just happens. And of course, as soon as it rains, it all goes into the lake. So I think, there's some huge concerns and then you wanted to bring up.
Thank God, directed at Michael. Have we ever gotten any results from Princeton Hydro's extensive testing?
Yes.
Available to at least.
Not until the water company board meets and sees with that. What we're supposed to have a conference call with Princeton Hydro to explain what our next steps are. I got the information when I was on vacation, so I don't know when it's coming up soon. As soon as it'll probably be a joint board thing, so soon.
I know, yeah.
Sooner than
I've
later.
asked for that for quite some
Just
time.
so I can close out.
Yes.
Respectfully, I say this respectfully, that I find this issue a very important issue, more important than some of the parliamentary issues I sat through for a half hour. So I don't have an issue going to our state representatives to get through some of this red tape of the DEC. That these things are concernable for the homeowners on the edge. Because I'm concerned about what is coming out of it. This is dead trees, and if we dredge it, it'll go away quickly. They're dead. It's gonna make it nice and smooth. So then we'll open up the dam. It's pleasure. But I have no issue going before state reps to see what we can do with the DEC to rectify what I consider maybe a potential dangerous thing.
I think that would be great if you would do that. And if you can do that in conjunction with the Lakes Committee, I think you'll even get more support there. That would be a great way to do that. And I'm always a big fan of getting our elected officials to work for us.
Great.
But we've had a couple in to visit with us, over the last year or so. So we'll see if we can't get them back
I
into
think
it.
you might have some carrying weight too, if there's all of these culverts that are going into the waterways. I mean, maybe not be in this instance that the state has determined for the township. So
I'm
you
just
may-
not educated enough on it one way or the other, but I would definitely defer to the subject matter experts, encourage you to work with them, encourage you to bring our elected officials in to try to help with that too. It's better on state.
Thank you.
I don't know why Albie needs other elected officials. He's our county coroner. He knows how to deal with that.
Any parliamentary procedure? Thanks, Alex.
Thank you, Counselor.
Before we move on to the committee reports, there were just a couple questions in the chat, and I know we don't normally do this way. We usually save everything for the end, but we're having a good combo here. So, how were the overall results of the audit? Good, fair, bad? Any recommendations? Does the board agree with the auditor's recommendations, and would they be implemented? Generally, it was a good audit. We discussed it back months ago when it came out, and the results and our audited financials have been posted on our website. In terms of specifics, I think Dan was talking about a couple of those things, but he'll work with management and we'll try to get, if there's anything specific that we haven't implemented yet. And then the last question was, can votes be accepted in the office tomorrow? No. Right, so votes over. For the budget. Yeah, okay. So moving on, yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Just to go back to the financials, Dan had asked a question about Bergman and Associates for the dance stuff. That's on November's financials.
Yeah.
Right, so the reason I didn't know about it, because we usually don't go through all that stuff until the middle of the month. That is all going to be coming out of your dam reserve that is set up for that. So that's.
I'm not questioning that. I'm just questioning why they would bill us with zero in the invoice.
Yeah, we just need to get detail.
Okay.
What's the scope of work that they're doing?
Okay.
It's not-
I just wanted to let you know why I didn't have the answer for the question.
Okay, bylaws committee, we met last week. I provided a written report that's a tab 3 board members, 3 board book. Anybody have any questions about it? It was really just an organizational meeting for the community's benefit. Moving on. Earl, you've also submitted a written report of what happened for your oversight committee. That's tab 4 of your board book board members. Anybody have questions for Earl?
Only thing we'll pick up this conversation around the book.
Okay, strategic planning and finance committee, Chris and I are co-chairing that. That's a merge of the old finance committee and the long range planning committee. We have a meeting scheduled for the 29th of November. That's Thursday at 7 p.m. by Zoom. Just to preview what that committee is going to tackle. It's really capital financial planning for the future, along with a few sort of projects like the building code being updated. It hadn't been updated, I think, since 2006, which I have not. The link, yeah. Sorry? We did? Yeah, I don't remember either. We'll figure-
Yeah.
Okay, so the Zoom information has been sent. Okay. Events and welcoming committee.
Can we just go back to Earl? I didn't get the date for the next meeting.
It's Tuesday. It's the 3rd Tuesday of every month. So the invite will go out Monday. I know it's a couple of days before Thanksgiving, but we try to stay with that cadence. Want to make sure. Of course.
Chris or Alana, any update for events and welcoming?
Yeah, just for the community members that don't know, events and welcoming have been combined this year. So if you were part of any one of those committees separately, we are meeting the 2nd Thursday of every month. Our next meeting is December 14th.
Thank you. Joel, I should have put it up with the Lakes, but your Helping Hands committee.
Sure. So we had a meeting on Wednesday, November 15th at 8 p.m. We had 7 people show up. We discussed what the purpose of the Helping Hands Committee is. So we came up with a list of services that we would like to provide to the community. And basically what this is, if you have a neighbor that's sick and needs to go get medicine, all right, and they don't have anybody to go to Rockville Pharmacy. We're not going to Monticello, but we go local. So basically what the plan would be is that they would call, we would have a list of volunteers, which we need. So people, please provide if you want to do this. And what would happen is that person would call the office and say, hey, could someone pick up my prescription? It'll be ready at 5 o'clock on Tuesday. And they would go, oh, Mary or Steve is available to do that. And they would give that person's phone number to the person and call out. And that person would go and pick up the prescription and drop it off at the person's house. So we do things like that. We would also pick up if you were housebound and you needed food. Walmart has a website where you can order anything in that store, pick it off, pay for it, say what time it is, and you can go pick it up and drop it off your house. We will try and talk with the people over at the trading post to see if they would extend that same thing to us. Also things, you got your car, you bring your car over to the local mechanic, but you have no way to get home. So call us up, we would help you, and we'd also bring you back. Let's see, the post office we put out there, but I don't know legally if the post office would give us a package, so we'll have to check that. And also, all these things that we're talking about need board approval. We're just throwing this out. We don't want to do anything without the blessings of the board. So that was that. So it's just basically, helping hand and just, we're not going to be doing this, 100 times a week for somebody, but just, to get them over the hump is what we're trying to do. Also, the other part of this program would be to volunteers, to do things in the community. So one person came up to me and said, hey, that's a great idea. Could you, maybe we can cut trails on the golf course, and maybe throw down some mulch and things like that. And I said, okay, I would bring it up. We'd also we help you out with the boat thing, as far as the extra set. There's an extra set of hands to do things that, Michael has, tight staff, so things that we can do. We'll try to help, same thing like with those weeds, just would have to be waivers, obviously. Well, you're volunteers, I'm making a point that you're doing this.
Everything is managed and run through Joel and the office, so that, it's not an invitation to go rogue and people go fix it.
No,
you're right.
Talk about liability.
Yeah, and because they're volunteers, yes.
It's all volunteers.
They would need a waiver.
Like, I'm not
release
giving you a
any-
ride to Middletown to make you train.
Yeah, we'll make sure they get.
But like I said, if you're sick, you got COVID and you can't get out, I know that happened to a good friend of mine.
Joel, have you gotten any board members or any people to sign up for the person to person part that you're
Not
talking
yet,
about?
we just had our meeting and I'm dropping this, I didn't discuss this with Brittany or Michael, so they're hearing this for the first time, so I gotta talk to them about this, like I said, we just had the meeting.
So you could just put my name down as the
Okay.
person to person whenever
Sure,
in my phone number.
sure.
Okay.
Anybody else, any other board members wanna jump in, it's fine, you're here. Girl,
Join in the
thank you.
summertime.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else?
No, that's, let's see.
Questions for Joel?
Oh, so yes, like I said, I was fishing yesterday and the guard came out and also fishing on Treasure Lake, on Davies Lake was amazing yesterday. I fished with between 5 and 6 pounds and they all came, I caught like 8 fish within that. It was great. So it's a little bit, you keep our lake pristine.
Okay, that's it for our committee reports, thanks. And are there any other questions, Brad?
Will be swinging the gate for the boat launch, the operative, next spring. Where's that there?
Didn't we?
Yeah,
We talked about that, right?
Thought it was done.
Yeah, that'll be whatever the oversight committee comes up with.
I can't commit right now. Give me the opportunity.
Yeah.
Talking about the
launch.
The sliding.
Over near the.
By the pool.
Being open by itself.
Yeah.
It's all working now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that a key, hard key thing?
Yeah, just like your card.
But if you see any problems, please report it. Mitch?
I have one funny question. I looked at my computer a day or so ago and I saw this meeting listed. I've been following it a long way. But as you know, I'm not much of a computer person, and it seemed to me the way it was listed, it just said Zoom. It didn't say it was a meeting that you could come into. Now, by this morning, I happen to be going through some papers because I'm not too organized at home. I pick up a paper from about a month ago and it says this meeting is an open meeting and a Zoom meeting. So I come in about 40 minutes late. I didn't want to make a lot of comments because I didn't know what was said when I wasn't here. But my question really is, are all of these meetings always open meetings and Zoom? Because it didn't differentiate if I read it on the computer. You guys could check. So not knowing it's here, you may have other people that thought it was strictly Zoom.
Yeah, that's a
I
problem.
really don't do so well on a Zoom meeting, but I love being here. I think you guys are terrific. It's a lot of fun.
Thanks. We'll endeavor to make that clearer in the future. We'll endeavor to make that clear in the future. Anything else? Anybody online?
Did we need the water?
Water company.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
Sitting here waiting.
I just, how did I do that?
It was
I'm
right
so
before.
sorry. That was a while back. I'm sorry, Alan.
That's okay. I just wanted to, clarify something or explain how it works since we're doing the budget and whatnot. The water company doesn't get together and kind of make a budget. We put down our expenses and whatnot, and then we send it over to the Public Service Commission. And they start chopping it up. And they are the Public Service Commission, they are not the Water Company Service Commission. And they are strict, I mean, last year, or the last time, we submitted a proposal. They go through it so tight, they question almost like what Dan was saying, fuel, not who was using the fuel, what type of fuel was going in each vehicle. Like, was premium put in, why was premium put in, you know?
For good reason too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So they, you know, it's not like we can just add something to our budget or change our budget. We do anything and it goes through them, and the case we're in now is gonna take 3 or 4 months just to get approved for us to know what our budget's gonna be and how we're gonna have to operate. So I just wanted to kind of clarify that's the process.
So obviously this budget will have an impact on you.
Well, yeah, you know, I mean, there are certain things that they question. I'm just picking something out that is a change, like our rent for here. They may go, that's crazy, you know, at a double, you know, they may chop that or they, whatever. So it's not like it's random that we just put down stuff and they go, okay, you know, it's a process.
Yep.
A lengthy process.
Thank you, Alan.
You know, so whatever we put through, we know we're not getting, it's gonna be less than.
Was there was already a rate case in front of them?
It's in the process.
So are we putting the expenses from this budget into that rate case now?
Didn't get enough.
So, I mean, how do you guys plan on managing an additional $30,000?
With the sprinklers, not because, you know, use a lot of water, I guess.
Well, we're gonna, that might be a good segue. We're in need of a joint workshop. So I was gonna ask folks to stick around today on the board to do that, but I'm not gonna do that because we have a really lengthy executive session to follow. And as I said, Michael and Joel are gonna do a walkabout for the punch list. So maybe I can email with you, Ellen, we can set a date and time
Absolutely.
to do that. Okay, we can work through all those issues. Okay.
All right.
Aaron, what's going on with the house?
We are dealing with that, negotiating. The sale.
The red house?
The red house.
Was it on market that they put in multiple listings?
What was it that we can't get usually. Yeah, they haven't even, you gotta get approved. So that's a Public Service Commission question, they can just sell something. So there's, once they figure out what's going on, then we gotta present it to the commission. I wanna get a rate through first, at least get that filed, and if they decide to do something else with the. Even if we wanted to do that, just for them to say, okay, you can sell it. It's 3 months. 3 months. Has to sit for any time anything's submitted, it has to sit for 90 days.
Okay, thanks, Alan.
Thank you.
Yeah, two things. One about the water. We're on the water a whole lot, even when there's light ice, we're out there. There are several homes, some in the Missouri community and some here, that we have seen pumps, that they pump the water directly out of the lake and they switch the water to pond and other stuff. We can let people know who they are, because obviously it's not going through a meter. So that's one thing. And then the question I had was, what is the status of the personal? Where are we with that? What are our risk, liabilities, long-term plans, like what?
Okay, so appreciate that it's in litigation. There's not a lot you can disclose, but as we've talked about this on each of the budget town halls as well, but the homeowners were evicted. We own the property. There is a mortgage on the property, but the mortgage loan was with the former homeowner, not us. We have nothing to do with that. Okay, so that, whether they pay that, don't pay that, don't know, don't care, well, care, but it's not in our purview right now. The proceedings that led to the eviction, including the foreclosure, are on appeal. That's all I'll say about that, because otherwise we're getting into the litigation. And what to do with the house, we have made no decisions, and it's something we'll discuss in executive session. I don't think today, because I don't think there's a decision point for us, but ain't much going on, basically, other than that, it's been, you know, locked up and protected and winterized and all that sort of stuff, so.
And I guess our financial liability, you can speak to that at all.
We don't know what that will be because, I mean, there are legal costs, but carrying costs of the house itself should be nil or next to nil. You know, the mowing the grass will be done in-house. You know, getting it winterized was done in-house. So the taxes were paid out of escrow from the mortgage bank. So we don't have any current tax liability. When taxes come due, the next time we'll have to make a decision whether we do that or not. That'll be something we have to figure out. We've identified in our operating budget, as we talked about at the budget town halls, where we could find those monies if we do have to spend anything, but right now no decision has been made to spend anything.
So are we comfortable with saying that this board does not authorize any spending on the mortgage and taxes?
No, that's not what we're saying. We said we have not made that decision.
And is the long-term goal to sell, and would we get a profit, or is that, you can't answer?
Can't answer that, and I mean, yeah, just can't answer that. Mostly because it's just no decision's been made. Yes,
Do you have the index number for the cases related to this?
I do. I don't have it off the top of my head.
Okay, do you all have them available?
I mean, it's public knowledge, it's on the.
Well, I understand that, I'm an attorney and I couldn't find it, so if I'm an attorney, I couldn't find it, I'm asking you to read it.
No, we'll get it to you. We'll get it
Okay,
to you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Can I comment a little bit on what Marcy had to say about people pumping out of the lake?
Okay.
So there's, in speaking to the wastewater plant, one of the bigger problems we have is people pumping into the lake, is sump pumps, or pumping into the sewer. It's quite significant, actually. So, you know, when we had some of the more recent rainstorms, you know, they went up, you know, 500,000-600,000 gallons in a day. You know, and the more water, the more stuff that goes through that wastewater plant, ultimately wear and tear costs us money for our sewer bills. So I think Joel and I will talk, and possibly other people on other committees, on ways to
I
help.
know most
help
lakes
people.
have a ban on pumping.
But it's something we're gonna need to.
As far as far as taking out, that's okay. We've never,
It is okay.
yeah, that's, and it actually saves you because you're not making water for somebody else to, it's not reflected in your bill for somebody else's water. So, in the just the general makeup and running of.
They're not paying the water, they're not paying you.
I found one of the.
But that's okay. That's,
That's not okay, because then the guy that has land not on the lake, waters that will pay you. So why would we get money from them?
well, then that's something the Lakes Committee's gotta take up, or, you know.
I didn't sit there saying, any pipes going in this, no people should have pipes going into the lake. Heck, even not less than municipalities, but individual people.
I see a hand up online.
I was gonna say, I'm glad we have time because of your knowledge.
Yeah, I do what I can, but not perfect.
Earl's gonna bring the next the Sullivan County Supreme Court case. The eviction proceeding was in town court, correct? So that isn't public, it's publicly available, it's not e-file. A question from someone marked with iPhone. If you'd introduce yourself and come off mute.
Yeah, this is Sam. You were talking about the lakes before and the water. If I remember correctly, going back, you were talking about building a water tower. What is the progress on that? And has that progress, or has that project ceased to exist?
That's a water company issue. I'm not sure if Alan.
Yeah, I mean, it's still in the engineering stage. We are mandated to have that tank. So it's still in the engineering phase. Basically.
Has that property been sold to the water company yet?
We own.
No, I think for the tank, about the lease, for the lease agreement you have with.
Yeah, we have a 99-year lease.
You have a lease, so you basically own it to, you have the land to construct it, let's put it that way.
Okay.
Okay.
Are we going to need that tower in the near future or within the next 5 years for the expansion of the Rock Hill area?
I think Alan said it was actually a requirement.
Okay, thank you.
And we don't go out into Rock Hill though, we're just take care of Emerald Green.
Okay.
And Lake Louise Marie.
Okay,
Thanks,
thank
Sam.
you.
Marcy, you have your hand up?
Yes, hi. Just a quick question. I don't know if you guys talked about this. So the pool, to me, is one of our large assets. Last year was the first year that we had this new beautiful pool, and it was closed professionally by the company that installed it. I had spoken to Mike about it. They did close up the pool. I don't think they dropped the water level. I'm just concerned about the pumps, the engine, the filters, that it's closed for the winter. We have 9 months now that we're not using the pool. So I wanted to know what was the status of that, other than just putting a cover over it, because that's what it seems like was done.
Is it winterized?
The pool is winterized and closed.
And the pumps and engine shut down, or is everything running?
No engine in there, but the pumps are shut down.
Okay,
Everything's
thank you,
good,
Mike.
Carson.
Thank you, Michael.
You're welcome.
Okay, thanks.
Nice picture too.
Looks like Anthony's nose. Gertrude.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Our next meeting is the 17th of December, in person and on Zoom. As always, but I'll make that clearer when we get our announcements out. That'll be here in the boardroom and on Zoom, and then it'll be a regular board meeting. With that, I'm gonna ask the board members to hang around. We have a significant executive session to get through. Maybe we'll surprise ourselves and get through it quickly, but I'll ask folks to drop off online except board members. And folks, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great Thanksgiving, everybody. Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
You got milk?
Okay, hey.
Yes.
Have a good night.